Torah, Megillah Esther, page 180, 10 lines about from the end of the page. Okay, now the Rebbe is explaining, based on the revelations that a Jew accomplishes when he does mitzvahs. So now we can understand why it says all the Nevi'im and Ksuvim are going to be nullified when Mashiach comes, except Megillah Esther. And he explained, what does that mean? Not Chas v'Shalom, it won't be, but compared to the revelation that will happen when Mashiach comes, so it's like the ray of the sun in the sun, it doesn't exist, or like a candle lit during the day, that it doesn't accomplish anything. On the other hand, though, Esther, the Torah says, Esther Menatayr Minayin, because you have Anechi Aster, double concealment, which means that it comes from such a high place that Gilui of Elokus is going to be of Esther, that Gilui Elokus will still be felt when Mashiach comes. That's what we're up to now. The Chayin Halacha is the same thing, because Yerushalmi says, what's not going to be bottled? Megillah Esther and Halachas. The Chayin Halacha Shem Bechinas Mordechai. Halacha is the level of Mordechai. What does it mean, the level of Mordechai? Because the Gemara says, Ki Mordechai Menatayr Minayin. Where do we find a hint? Where's the name of Mordechai alluded to in the Torah? Because it says in Parshas Kisisim, Mordor. It says the spices of the Ketores. Umetagamina, and we targum it. In targum it says, Mira Dachya. Mira Dachya is Mordechai. Okay, so what does Mira Dachya mean? Pirish Mira Dachya. What does Mira Dachya mean? Medidas Shebamokim Tahar. Mira is Medidas, Dachya is pure. So it says, what does Mira Dachya mean? Bitterness in a place of Kedusha, Hainu Halachas, which refers to the level of Halachas, which are Devad Havaya, the word of Hashem, Vishar Hashem comes in the level of Chochmi Ilah, that comes into the Medidos, Shul Gashmi is Gasis, which is the coarseness of Gashmis, and other things like this. Mitzvahs basically is a lukus coming into coarse, mundane, corrupt Gashmias. Mitzvahs deal with Gashmias, different things. So that's Mara Dachya, meaning it's a level of Meridas even in the place of Kedusha. Not only that, Torah deals even with impure things, not only neutral things of Gashmis, but like it says Shkotz and V'Ramoshim, that it says Asher Hevdilenu Mehem. So therefore, Mara Dachya, it says, refers to the way Elokus comes into the physical world of mitzvahs. So therefore you have like this, Esther, there's both the Inyanim of Purim, Esther and Mordechai. Esther represents the level of Megillah Esther. Like we said, Megillah Esther means to be Megala, the Esther, Megala the concealment. Halachas is the level of Mara Dachya, which is the way Kedusha comes into physical mitzvahs. And that's what it says in the Megillah, Shisha Chadashim B'Shem Amor. 6 months before Esther went to the king. It says, Shisha Chadashim B'Shem Amor. 6 months, they prepared themselves with Shem and Hamor. What is that? Chochmi Ilah, that comes into Meridus, that comes into the Halachas and Mulubeshes Begashmias. Upasik Zeh Medaber. It's a very interesting thing. It says, Shisha Chadashim B'Shem Amor, Uv'Shisha Chadashim B'Psamim Samruke Anoshim, Uv'Zeh Na'ir Oba El HaMelech. That's the way the Esther, the girls would come to the Tachashesh for the beauty pageant. So he tells the story of a chassid, I forgot which one, who was on his way to the Alter Rebbe for Yechidus. That after preparing himself for 10 years, he prepared himself, this, you can understand what we're talking about. Great chassidim of the Alter Rebbe prepared themselves 10 years to go into Yechidus with the Alter Rebbe. On the way, he was traveling, he stopped by a friend's house, and his friend told him, you're going to the Rebbe, let me tell you a word that I heard. How does a Naira Baal HaMelech, how does the Jew, the Neshama, come to the king? You have 6 months of Shemin Amar, which is Meridus. Surmeira, bitterness. Shishir Chadashim V'Samruke Anoshim represents Asay Toiv. Adding the psalm. And then Anar Ba'al HaMelech. The Chassid was so impressed by it, he stayed another year by this Chassid, prepared himself an 11th year to be able to go into the Rebbe. That was so here he says like this. What is Shemin Amar? Amar is Meridus. By the way, it's interesting. Shemin comes from Zayis. Zayis is very bitter. Yes. Shemin represents Chochmah. Coming into Meridus, he says Meridus means the Gashmis, the Gemitzvahs, which is Meridus, even even things that are impure. This is V'va El HaMelech refers to the Neshama coming into Gan Eden. Shetzarchli is b'Shem and Amor. It has to be with Shem and Amor. And he says, what is more Meridus, which means mitzvahs. U'kamay Merazal. He says, like Chazal say, Ashri Misha Balakan. Fortunate is a person that comes up to Gan Eden. With Talmud Beyadi. And his Talmud is in mitzvahs and Meridus because they come into physical things. It's physical compared to Ruchnius is bitter. Comes into Dvarim Tamei. I understand, but you're taking a physical object, you take an inanimate animal, plant object, and you're making it into Kedusha. So it's Meridus coming in from a level of Gashmias, which is bitter. So he says, this is what the Gemara says interestingly. Fortune is the one that comes to Gan Eden, with Talmudei biyadei. His learning is in his hand. So the question is, it should say Talmudei b'sichlei, b'reishei. What do you mean? Talmudei biyadei, how do you learn with your hands? So it doesn't say it, but the explanation is what Al Rebbe is alluding to is very simple. That's when you bring that learning into mitzvahs. Where he quoted before the Gemara, if a person learns with the intent of not keeping, he should have never been born. Should have never been conceived. So what's the whole union of Talmud? Gadol Talmud, the greatest level of Talmud, when it brings into action. When it brings into action, that's what it says, Talmud biyodei. How do you know the learning is a proper learning? When the person lives by what they learned. Then you know the learning affected the person. Bottom line of the page. Like a torch, okay? A big torch shines very far. The same thing, a barrel full of stuff. Until when you fill up a barrel, and you make it overflow, that really shows that the barrel is very full. How do you see that the barrel is full when things are overflowing to waste? It's interesting. The wasting is showing that the barrel is really full. Which means, a kid under Bar Mitzvah cannot give birth until he becomes an adult. He's saying like this. The Seichel, the Torah, when it comes into Gashmis, Halacha, then you see the ultimate greatness of learning. Okay? So the ultimate completeness is when it overflows. Because until then, it's not really complete. You can always add more to it. So when Torah comes dafka into Gashmias, Ashimi Shabbat, Talmud B'yadi is learning it, and that means it comes into Gashmias. Or like Halacha, is the level of Chochmah Ilah, Kedusha, coming into Meridus, into physical objects that seemingly are coarse, physical, mundane, whatever, and yet they're elevated to Kedusha. That shows the origin that it comes from a very lofty light. Just like Esther. Esther Bonai, which means it's such a great darkness that it comes from such a high source of Kedusha. Yoshes Cheshech, there's a passage, Yoshes Cheshech Sisri, which means he places his Cheshech all the way up there. That means that's the highest levels of Elokus. The same thing with Halacha. Now the Rebbe says, what happened? It comes down all the way down. By days, by becoming the Mech and the Gadlus, the Seichel, the Teitz, the Kayachai Lodel, the Daimale. Okay, so now he's going to say the same thing with the Halachas. Kachini halachas hamluber shes begashmis. Davka halachas that come into gashmis, hainu shabo me'ero avuka. It comes from the torch that shines in merachik, or mechavish shemalei al kol geder Yosef, b'shefer rava otzum, and shenishbach l'chutz. It comes all the way into chutz. Chutz represents evil. Pnimius represents kedusha. Chutz means it's overflow, it's going to waste. And therefore he says like this, the Gemara says, Zeu simin bracha, what is the sign of bracha? Bayish shenimshach nishpach yayin kamayim. A house that wine is poured like water. And that's why it's interesting, halacha and Shulchan Aruch, even though halachically, when you make Kiddush, okay, as long as the cup is full, it's good enough. They have those, but on Shulchan Aruch, the minig is you should overflow it. You're wasting wine. Think about it. You're wasting wine. See, the Shulchan Aruch quotes the Gemara that says any house that wine is not poured like water doesn't have a bracha. So you want to start the full week, the beginning of the week, right after Shabbos. Now you're starting a new week. You want to spill over the wine. Are you wasting it? You're not wasting it. You're showing a siman bracha. Doesn't mean you should pour out the whole gallon, you know, but the bottom line is you pour it out. On the contrary, the fact that Elokus is able to come down, the will of Hashem is able to come down all the way into the physical world, moving, it's understood, is a level of avuka g'dayla. It shows it comes from a very lofty source. Because we learned, the fact that something can come all the way down, 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 shows it's a very powerful or in the origin of it. So the fact that the light of mitzvahs comes into physical objects shows that the source of this revelation of Elokus is a very, very lofty level. So these two lofty levels of Megillas Esther, Haster, and the level of halachas are such great revelation that even when Mashiach comes, they're also going to be revealing. They're also going to be a revelation. Unlike all the other Nevi'im and all the other things, compared to the great revelation, Mashiach is going to be like a candle in daylight. This is such a great art that even during the day it's going to be seen, so to speak. So these are why the Yerushalmi says Megillas Esther and Halachas. And he connects in both them. Esther is this has to ask, and the Mordechai is a level of Mordechai, meaning the Kedusha comes into Meridus, which refers to Halacha, when the revelation of Elokus comes into physical objects, which are Meridus, bitter. And he says, Hagam shema yamadika nerbim kayma emer yesem er rabami avuka merachik. L'chayra, why do we need to have a torch shining from the distance? We could light a candle here. Then you don't need the light from the distance. But he says, the fact that the avuka shines further, made al-makim ha'or, shows on the source of it. Shegadol me'ed v'avuka g'deila, v'chein or v'gilu zeh sheba'halachis. Therefore, the gili or v'halachis ein le'bittul, kebittul zeh v'shemesh b'shemesh.
What is avuka?
Avuka is a torch. V'chein Megillas Esther. He says, l'chayra, But again, remember we said last time, the miracle of Purim seemingly wasn't such a great miracle. It was in nature. If you think about it, Purim, you could learn that it wasn't a miracle. It's a very simple story. Esther had a husband, who didn't know, and he decreed against the Jews. Comes the wife and says, honey, you want to kill my people, please do something about it. And the king loved her, and he said, okay, no decree. Taking that in a simple way, it wasn't such a big miracle. You had Mordechai, as they used to say, the Kissinger in the White House. Mordechai was, I don't know if that was so good or not, but Mordechai was big macher in the government, and Esther was the wife, so big deal. It was misinformed. Achashverosh misinformed. He didn't know that the Gzeira was against his wife, so it's a big deal. It's a Melubish B'Teva. But the Alter Rebbe is going to say that shows it was even a greater miracle. What?
It's good for 1 year for this law. It's the whole year.
Not mitzvahs. Mesiras Nefesh. That's a big difference.
That's a big miracle.
That every single Jew stood Mesiras Nefesh.
Right.
No. That's the actual miracle. The miracles that Jews got together for a change.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it is a big miracle.
Right, but seemingly, if you look at the story of Purim in the Megillah, you can interpret it to mean it's a very simple story. Okay? The whole reason why the thing came, because the Jews, the Gemara says, why was there excited to destroy the Jews? What did they merit? What did they do so bad that they merited to be destroyed? So the Gemara says, the Jews enjoyed the meal. When Achashverosh made the party, the big party, the Jews ran to the party. So all the Mefarshim, they discuss, there's treif, the Rebbe learns very simple. It doesn't say they ate treif. If you look in the Megillah, it says, La seis kirtzein ish v'ish. And the Medrash says, and he did what Mordechai wanted, he did what Haman wanted by the meal. That means if Mordechai wanted Chabad Shchita, he got him Chabad Shchita. Haman wanted whatever he wanted, he got it. The Gemara doesn't say they ate treif, and even if they did eat treif, that's not a reason to destroy Jewish people. It's one negative commandment in the Torah. You give them malchus and that's it. For that they deserve. The Rebbe explains it doesn't say they ate treif. They had enough of it. Here Achashverosh is bringing out all the kelim of the Beis HaMikdash to show that the Jews are not going to rebuild the second Beis HaMikdash because he miscalculated the 70 years. And therefore he took out all the kelim of the Beis HaMikdash to show, you see, there's no more Beis HaMikdash happening. Yet the Jews heard free food. They ran to the free food and they enjoyed it. That was enough of a reason why the Jews should be destroyed. So how did they overcome that?
No, Rabbi.
1 second. How did they overcome that? They had to stand with Mesiras Nefesh an entire year. What does it mean entire year? There's 4 seasons. There's 4 different Avedas. There's a winter Aveda, by the way. It's brought down in Sfarim. And there's a summer Aveda, there's a winter Aveda, there's a spring Aveda, there's a fall Aveda. Every Aveda is different. Amdu Mesiras Nefesh Kol Hashana Kula means they didn't have Mesiras Nefesh like the Rebbe writes in Atat Tetzaveh. In Russia, yeah, but in America, not. Or here, yeah, and then Mesiras Nefesh all the year means that every aspect of their life, every avodah was permeated with Mesiras. What's your problem?
My problem is that even that doesn't justify annihilation of people because they were weak or they
Why were they weak?
misjudged.
First of all, The guy is celebrating the fact that the Jews are not going to be rebuilding the Beis Hamikdash, and you run to the party and enjoy it. Maybe if they were forced to go, they had no choice. Nana?
Okay, so they had poor judgment. That's not, or...
No, you're talking
They
about...
were weak or
You're
poor
talking about
judgment.
great...
Does it justify annihilating a whole nation?
Yeah.
Erred in their
Doesn't
judgment.
Rabbi explain in that sikha that they enjoyed the closeness of Texia, this political closeness that they had to the king, and they preferred that over being under Hashem's...
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Right, and it's not just the food, it's just the closeness.
The Nana Mesudasa, no. The Jews ran to Achashverosh who wanted to prove you're not building the Beis Hamikdash.
When at the time of Abraham, which one was born?
By the way, in a deeper sense, why does Hashem allow a person to sin?
Gives them the choice.
Okay. There's a piece of a pig in front of me, yeah? I have a choice to eat it or not, granted, yeah? Hashem doesn't want me to eat it. It says in Torah, don't you? Hashem could have made it that as soon as I want to do something forbidden, my mouth closes and doesn't open.
Right.
I want to hit somebody, Hashem could make my hand freeze at that moment. If He doesn't want it to be happening, why does He allow me to happen? Why does He allow me to do it?
Make it so enticing.
So the answer is, not chasish, after the fact, not before the fact. Before the fact, you're not allowed to do it. After the fact that somebody did something wrong, what is the purpose of them? Why did Hashem want it? Everything Hashem does is good. Why does Hashem allow you to do it? Because Hashem wants you to do tshuva, to reach a level higher than you were before. Why did Hashem allow? I'm sad, relax. Why did Hashem allow that the Jews should that they should become basically extinct? They were destroyed? Because Hashem wanted them to reach a level, Mesiras Nefesh, which causes this Anoichi Hester to reveal the ultimate Hester, which is such a great revelation that even when Mashiach comes, it's going to be a revelation. So Hashem wanted that to happen. But the fact was, in a simple understanding, here a guy is, the Jews are in Golus. They're waiting for the Beis Hamikdash to be built, yeah? And all of a sudden the Jews are saying, okay, we're not building it. You're not building it, guys. That's what he's saying. 70 years are up, he miscalculated. I'm showing you the Kelim of the Beis Hamikdash. Kelim, Shenim, took out all the Kelim of the Beis Hamikdash. And the Jews are running to a party.
How many years was it miscalculated?
11, 12 years.
11, 12 years of wrong?
Yeah. We counted on different places, whatever.
At the time of Egel Zahar, which one was born? Making the Egel or enjoying the party and dancing and doing the Sikha?
They tell this during the war, World War II, yeah? So Pidin, you're Pekor Nefesh, you're allowed to eat treif. I mean, there was no food to eat, right? But there was a guy is eating treif. In Yiddish, there's an expression, "Fatzmaken in the lippen." That means, when something's really good, you go, you lick to the last drop on your mouth, So this guy was eating treif, but he was enjoying it. So somebody came over to him and said, "Mainly you have to eat treif. I understand. You have to enjoy it. You have to enjoy it. Eating treif, you should cry that you're eating treif.
Yeah.
But you're enjoying. Oh yeah, the guy is showing you there's no baby. You enjoying it yet? That's what the Gemara. It doesn't say they ate from the Suda, because then they could have been cursed. They're the cursed. What do you want from them? You didn't want to get killed. But here the Gemara doesn't say that. The Gemara says, and the Gemara doesn't say, I say Rasha, the Gemara says Rasha because this guy was the Rasha that he's showing there's no Beis Hamikdash going to be built, and the Jews are running.
It's like a kid that does something terribly wrong against the explicit instructions of his father, and the father says, I'm going to kill you.
It's a little bit different in that case than Hashem with all the entire Jewish nation. By the Egel, did Hashem say to Moshe, I went in and destroyed the whole nation? Why? What did they do already? Moshe got lost. He didn't come back. Think about it. What did he do? They said, Moshe Rabbeinu, we don't know what happened to him. No, so what happened?
They made an ego.
Yeah, so?
They party, they dance.
So because of that they should die?
Yeah. Too long doesn't make it right.
Two rights make an airplane.
Rabbi, we met with this guy